Howdy, y'all, and welcome to the EEARSS podcast, produced here at Terrier TV. Did I say produced? I did say produced.
You did. You said produced.
Man, my brain is, I'm having a weird brain day.
Are you?
Yeah, I don't know.
Your
maybe,
brain's not working?
Yeah, I don't know if maybe did I have too much sugar in the way here, or did I not have enough today? Or if
Well, it could just all be the whole, we're back at it.
Man, it's crazy.
And so the adrenaline level maybe a little.
It is the adrenaline, definitely.
And,
it's definitely the adrenaline.
Being back here in the beautiful Terrier TV studios.
I blame it on Cindy. If Cindy was here, I'd be more relaxed.
Cindy would be a calming influence on
she
you.
She is a calming influence.
But it's just me, dude. So
no, it's great, Bill. So we just whooped episode 1 moments ago.
We did.
People,
Indeed.
If people that don't realize that know, sometimes we shoot 2 episodes in a row.
We can't tell them how it's all made.
It occasionally happens. Yes. What is it made? Something's how you bake the cookies?
Yeah,
what
the cookies.
Is it the cookies?
I think I want to say
nabbit.
I did want to say cookies.
Sausage? Is it how you make the sausage?
Oh yeah, you never want to see how they make the sausage.
Yeah, I've seen that before. Unfortunately,
you don't want to see that.
I'm not a super big fan.
No.
It tastes great, but I don't want to watch it get made.
Sausage.
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, some things you're better off not knowing.
Absolutely.
It is what it is. Yeah. So episode 1 was pretty epic.
I'm gonna start saying every time you say that, I'm gonna say, couldn't be anything else.
Really?
Whenever you say it is what it is.
Do I say it a lot?
That and I digress. Yeah.
I did not digress a single time last episode.
And I will tell you what, over the summer, it's like it's catching on. People keep saying,
no, they don't.
But I digress.
Do they really?
Oh yeah. No, all over social media, all the stuff I was watching, I'm seeing people saying, I was like, they're stealing from Frank.
See, okay, the guest we have on here in a moment. I have learned things from this area they hang out in quite a bit, where I try to sound more scientific than I guess I am scientific. Let's give myself
putting
credit.
on airs, are we?
Well, I like to I concur. I like to concur a lot.
Oh, there we go.
Because it seems like a very
do you concur,
doctorate level thing.
Yes, I concur.
There's certain terminology that you use, not typically Ohio and no cap and things like that, but but I use those occasionally too in the lab. So just because I try to balance things out, like not too high.
Right, okay.
And then you lower it way back down just to keep it solidly in the middle.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it is what it is. I don't
know. Anything else.
Dag nabbit, I did say it, didn't I?
You did.
What is going on with me?
I told you, man, I'm going to get you.
Man, I have a major malfunction. I need to fix it. I'm going to work on it. Bill.
It's not a big deal, dude.
It is a seriously major malfunction. All right, you ready to jump into, I would say today's episode, but it is today's episode.
So, yeah, and so I'm going to unmute her, so she'll have to behave herself.
So today on the EEARSS podcast, we are joined by Jessica Patterson of the Turtle Healing Center down at the Brevard Zoo. Jessica, thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me.
All right, so there's occasionally people, I know I have this problem. It's a good problem sometimes in life where you meet somebody, or you just kind of watch somebody work and you go, man, like I want to hang out with this person. Me and this person are going to be fast friends because this is like, wow, okay, working, doing these amazing things. There's not a whole lot of us that work with wildlife for a living. There's people that like to think they do, but there's not really a whole lot of people that really work with wildlife for a living and dig into it. And this lady digs into it from so many different angles. It's nuts.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a nice lead up, Jessica.
So now, Jessica, I'm going to ask you then, since he put this out there. When was the first time you realized you thought you wanted to work with animals, or was it
since birth?
Okay.
Like I was probably one of very, very few kids that actually grew up to do what they said they wanted to do when they were 3 or 4. I mean, maybe not specifically like, working with sea turtles in rescue or, being a dive professional with sharks. But I knew that I wanted to work with marine life, and more so specifically like cold and scaly things. That is primarily my jam.
Okay.
I grew up like just loving lizards and frogs.
That was my question about pets. What did you do? Where were you?
Oh yeah. I had bearded dragons, frilled dragons. I had a black-throat monitor for a while. And I mean, my house was so much fun growing up. I mean, we had a bunch of pets. I mean, besides the reptiles, we had fish, horses, I was in 4-H. I had like Angora goats for 4-H. So
Now, do you
did
have a lot of
wolves.
siblings, or is it just you?
It is just me.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
So mom and
yeah,
dad let you have the run of the place, huh?
yeah, a little bit. You could say that. Um, but when I was constantly busy between the animals, sports. I felt like I felt alone, like as an only child. But it was definitely the environment that I grew up in that allowed me to be what I am today.
So tell us a little bit about that. Tell us how you got into what you're doing and what you do.
So, again, like I knew that I wanted to be in working with marine life from a very young age. I mean, I was I was drawing mola molas when I was 3 or 4, like the giant sunfish. They're very unique. They're the unique fish. They're the largest bony fish on the planet. But like I said, they're very unique and not really known. So for me to be, like just so in depth with marine life from the get go. Growing up in San Diego, we had the coast right there. I loved snorkeling out there, and I grew up swimming as well. So it was it was in me, being wanting to be in the water. I started at SeaWorld San Diego when I was 19 as an aquarist. So I took care of their sea turtles, sharks, rays, fish, taking care of the life support systems of these animals as well. And I stayed there for 8 years. When I started at SeaWorld with the sea turtles, like by that point, I established like maybe I want to be a biologist. I want to do field work. I want to study sea turtles or sharks. And that's kind of what I whittled it down to. But as time went by at SeaWorld, well, let me back it up to the first time I got to hold a juvenile green turtle for the first time. Like, that was the confirming moment that I was like, this is what I want to do.
That did it,
So
huh?
they handed me this little green turtle. I mean, maybe like from nose to tail, 1.5 foot. I'm holding her. I'm about to go put her him into his exhibit, and he's slapping me, he's pooping on me. It's a mess, and I just like in that moment something clicked, and I was like, "This is what I want to do the rest of my life."
Oh, wow.
And as my time went on at SeaWorld, I realized that my passions are in care. I love caring for these animals directly. And that's where I kind of decided I wanted to get into veterinary nursing, and maybe work at a sea turtle rehab. So I wanted to do more for sea turtles as a whole. Like I love taking care of the turtles at SeaWorld. Those were my babies, even though some of them were like 80 years old. They were my babies. And like I said, I just wanted to do something more for sea turtles in the wild, and be able to work with wild turtles and help them get back out into the ocean.
Jam up.
Cool.
Jam up. So that leads us to where you're at currently. Where are you at currently, and what do you do there?
So I am at the Brevard Zoo Sea Turtle Healing Center, and this is my dream job. I get to care for sick and injured sea turtles full time for a living. So I went to school for veterinary nursing through Purdue, and I graduated not last December, 2 Decembers ago. Took my boards last spring, so I'm a certified veterinary technician, which is something that is very important. Certified means you went to school and you passed your VT&E, so your veterinary, like your veterinary technician exit exam, and to be certified by the state. So this is important because not all states require you to be CVTs or RVTs to work with animals. So Florida is one of those states where you do not need to be a CVT. And it unfortunately diminishes the importance and the credibility of a lot of CVTs. And what this means is vet clinics can pull like anybody off the street, hire them, and have them be performing anesthesia on your animal, which is like kind of concerning.
Whoa.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Wow.
So it is highly concerning. I mean, again, you could have these, you know, it's anybody who like wants to get into it. I mean, I'm not saying that all clinics are that way. There's actually a lot of clinics that are now looking for CVT specifically to do their work because of, you know, liability and things like that. But the state does not require you to be a CVT to do those things. So that was a little tangent, but I think it's important to know that because it does really affect, again, the credibility of veterinary nurses. And it, you know, that's why we also, you know, our pay does not reflect the work and effort we went into to get the degree and where we're at.
Yeah, unfortunately, it rarely does in the world of wildlife. Just
No,
the sad world we work in. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, we sacrifice things so we can love what we do. So
no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Your typical day down there. So, you know, we do our blood, you know, our alligator blood research down there at the Brevard Zoo lab, and we get to watch you guys kind of doing your thing a little bit, just like a quick cross section. What is a day like in your world?
No day is the same. And I think that's what makes it so interesting.
Oh yeah, that's got to be a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no day is the same because we can get a turtle in at any moment. Through FWC regulations with sea turtles, I'm on call from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. to retrieve turtles that need help, or receive turtles that need help. But that doesn't mean I haven't been on the beach at 3 a.m. plenty of times assessing nesting mother turtles' injuries. Like, if anybody calls me with a turtle at any point, like, I'm going to go care for it. So, and again, at any point, I could get a turtle during the day. And this is ranging from hatchling to a 400-pound male loggerhead. So it's kind of, it's fun. You never know what you're going to get. But typically, if I could actually plan my day, this is how it would go. I would get in, I would make some coffee. And then that's usually where everything kind of falls apart. But I look at what treatments need to be done that day. So I make a list of things that would ideally happen that day. Any turtles that need to come out for x-rays, CT, the veterinarians need to look at them, you know, things like that. They need to be tube fed. So I try to plan out my day like that. But it's usually in the morning where I do all my treatment. Which frees up my afternoon to do whatever else I need to do. Like if we get a turtle, we get a call usually between like 10 a.m. and noon, because that's when people are at the beach. Most of these turtles are just found by beachgoers.
Okay.
So, you know, if you think about peak time at the beach, that's usually when people start walking the beach, or going to the beach. So I like to free up my afternoon to retrieve turtles or receive turtles and work on filtration of our systems. We do a lot of educational outreach. We do a lot of philanthropy work. We don't just do turtle rehab. We do a lot of things.
That's one of the main things I was amazed by down there. Just the level of goodness gracious, the level of care you guys are giving, the amount of animals you guys are caring for, and just the non-stop things going on there. It just seems like very, very controlled, super controlled chaos.
I would not use the word controlled.
No?
I thought she was going to say chaos.
But I really appreciate that, because that means that I look like I have my stuff together.
You guys, you all do look like you have your stuff together, without a doubt.
Yeah, it is farther from the truth, but hey, you know.
Well, hey,
at least I look cool doing it.
Right. If the facade is there, that's what you want.
I'm really screaming inside most of the day. I'm always so, you'll see me running around the hospital eating peanut butter, and that's because you can't scream with peanut butter in your mouth.
There you go. Words,
Okay.
words to live by.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to,
Yeah.
I'll have to try that sometime. I've never tried to scream with peanut butter in my mouth.
Yeah.
If you hear about me in the hospital later on, Bill, you know what happened.
You know what happened?
Yeah.
Strained something, man.
There's a whole mouthful
no,
of
but
Peter Pan.
yeah, exactly. They always have a deal on Peter Pan at Publix, by the way. It's usually 2 for 1.
Oh, wow.
But anyways, it is chaos, but it's a lot of fun usually. You know, no day is the same. It really is not, because each day we'll do major assessments on like different turtles that need them. You know, you have your critical patients that can change like within hours their status. You have your stable patients, which could all of a sudden not be stable, and you're like, you've been great for like the last 3 weeks. Why are you crashing now? So there's lots of out of the box thinking with the turtles too, because they themselves are a black box. Like it's very hard to do diagnostics on them because of their shell. So you know, their carapace and their plastron, it's all made of bone. So it's very hard to do good diagnostic imaging on them where you can see past the bone. But that's where like our CT machine comes in, which has been a blessing. We are one of only a handful of facilities in the entire US that has their own CT machine. And it has been life-changing for a lot of our turtles because it really gets us a better image of what's going on. But I think that one of the biggest reasons why I love sea turtle work is because of that out of the box thinking. Most medical equipment is made for cats and dogs, horses, things like that. When it comes to sea turtles, I mean, it is straight MacGyver. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
if you're looking at carapace fractures, we're using like screws in the carapace to hold the pieces together and like wiring it together. I mean, it's pretty cool, and that's
wow.
how you do it. You sterilely apply screws into the carapace with wires to hold everything together. So it looks like home improvement, but it's really saving sea turtles.
Wow. Now, when you're treating sea turtles and you have them, are they like in isolation? Are they together? How big an area are you holding a sea turtle in?
So we actually have a decent sized rescue. We have one of the larger rescues. We have 14 pools, and they range from 12 feet to 6 feet. So and we actually have some of the larger pools as well, which is really like their 12-foot pools are kind of they're rare in rescues. So we're lucky to have that, especially when we get these big loggerheads in, and green turtles. But they're typically, when we first get a turtle, we need to isolate them because we don't know why they're there, unless
Right.
it's like obvious.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have parasites, and we don't want them to give those parasites to other turtles. So what we do is we wait for them to poop, because that's really the only way we can find out if they have parasites is through fecal analysis. So once we clear them, if they can stay by themselves, that's more ideal. But we do have some pools where we will have like multiple little juvenile green turtles together, and you want to talk about chaos. That's chaos.
So now, are they social animals, or are they?
Yes.
Do they isolate?
So we over the last few years, you know, a lot of times we think of sea turtles as very isolated, and as adults, they have a tendency to be more isolated. But juveniles, I mean, they're hanging out together. Not that they like each other's company, but if they see that like that one turtle is hanging out over there, it probably means that there's food or a good place to hide or a good place to scratch. So you do find like these younger animals together socializing. And you know, they're finding out that there is more of a social hierarchy and stuff like that with the turtles in recent times. So it just depends on their age. But as adults, they have a tendency to isolate more, but in those juvenile stages, you'd have a tendency to find them all together.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So there's another topic I want to hit here with you. Um, as a person who deals with apex predators for a living,
Mm-hmm.
large reptiles, of course, in my case, you're dealing with a large apex predator of your own on one of your other jams, and
Mm-hmm.
you're doing shark diving. So
Correct.
this is an animal I don't know a whole lot about. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about sharks, what you're doing with them, and you guys even have tours where you let people come out and dive with the sharks. So tell us a little bit about all this you're doing and how it all works.
Yeah, so absolutely. So the shark diving that we do is um primarily to bring people out. We occasionally do get biologists on board, and they'll pull parasites off of the sharks or take measurements and things like that. But it's primarily to bring divers to meet sharks. Um, these are baited dives, which some people are kind of leery about, which and I totally get it. The It's really fun. I mean,
When you say people are leery about it, what would they be leery about with that?
because a lot of people are worried that we are skewing their natural behaviors. But these beta diving has been going on, at least in our area, for over 20 years, and sharks still act the same. They leave when they're supposed to. They come back when they're supposed to. They don't hang around and look for divers to feed them.
I gotcha. So
They're
it's not like you're
Yeah,
feeding an alligator and it's gonna come back every time he sees a
correct.
person.
Correct. So, and there's a lot of controversy. Like a lot of fishermen will say that, like, oh, well, that, they're chasing our bait now because of you guys. And I'm like, no, it's because there's no food. Sharks' behaviors are changing because their environment is changing, because all their food sources are being pulled for us. So sharks are being put in a position where they need to be more aggressive and chase anything to get food. And fishermen get very frustrated with the sharks when they have a fish on the line and it's fighting on the line. It's putting out those vibrations that the sharks are sensing. And so they're like, hey, free snack. And they'll go after these fish that fishermen are currently trying to reel in. So they
Gotcha.
like to point their fingers at anything but, the commercial fishing and stuff like that. Um, and I think that there could be a balance amongst everything, but that's why people are a little bit leery about the beta diving. They're worried that we're going to skew their behaviors, and I'm like, these animals are not easily influenced like marine mammals. First of all, they will go do sharky things without humans there.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. I would say
Yeah.
I don't know much. I don't know much about them other than whenever I watch people like you interact with them and read about what people are doing and why they're doing it. It's while also another apex predator. It's a very different world. It's like it's a whole different world.
Absolutely. So, they're not just apex predators, but they're a keystone species, sharks just in general. Um, so there's over 500 species of sharks, and over the last 50 years, 70% of the global shark population has declined. So the shark populations are struggling. And as keystone species, if they disappear from the environment, like the whole ecosystem is going to collapse. Like we need sharks.
Is that overfishing? Is that I mean what
It's a
is
lot
that?
of things. Yep.
Okay.
So primarily it's overfishing, and whether I mean, it could be overfishing because they're actually targeting the sharks, or they're bycatch. Sharks are a lot of bycatch. Um, and unfortunately, sharks do not do well when they are caught accidentally and then released. So they get overstressed and they usually die after. But I refer to things like long lines and gill net as cancer, because it doesn't matter who you are, they're going to catch you. It's And a lot of the times it's unfortunately these sharks who are taking the bait off of these long lines, whether it's the species they wanted or not, because they're a lot of them are starving. They don't have food sources, so they're going to take what's there. Um, And off of the state of Florida, like we do have a lot of protections for our sharks, which is great. But like lemon sharks is a very common species we dive with, and they're a lot of fun. That's actually, we were just diving with them earlier today, and they're a social shark. Not with just with each other, but with the divers as well. They come right up to the divers, they check them out, they swim around them. I mean, they're like right there in front of you.
Very
And it's a
curious,
big,
huh?
yeah, and it's a good sized shark. So, as shark handlers, we know them a little bit more as like they're not super scary, if you will. A lot of people, I don't like how people call them like, oh, they're like puppies. I never want to call sharks puppies because people want to pet puppies. You shouldn't pet these ones, but they're playful, and they like to check out what we're doing. But they are 11-foot puppies with teeth hanging out of their mouth. So they're for new shark divers, they look like a very intimidating shark to dive with. And that's why I love them, because people come on the boat to quote quote face their fears of sharks. And then they go dive with these lemon sharks, again, who are a big shark. And they're like, oh my God, that it was life changing. And then they're like, booking their next trip with us before they even leave the boat. And then they leave as shark advocates, which is why I like this job.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so again, lemon sharks are protected. Bull sharks, you can fish for bull sharks off of the state of Florida. You have a limit on how many you can have, but you can hunt them and kill them for food or whatever. And it just depends on your species. But the big ones that were overfished out here were sandbar sharks. They have very large fins, which is ideal for like shark fin soup and shark finning. So their populations out here were almost extinct until they put them on the protection list because they were just being overfished like crazy.
So one of the questions I like to ask people who are in the conservation world the way we are, let's say you have the keys of the kingdom right now to make the changes that need to happen to keep sharks around. Let's say you can make a set of changes to change the whole way conservation on sharks works. What are a couple of those changes you would make?
So it's like such a hard question because you want to say you want to protect them all.
Right.
But there is a balance. There's 100% of balance, and we have disturbed that balance.
Well, that's somebody who's educated in the conservation world. That's what they should always say, because the conservation is one of those complicated cubes, and you're spot on.
Yeah, and like I try to explain this to people who aren't quite in conservation, and it's kind of like concerning. I tell them, like, you have to respect the endangered list. It'd be easy just to be like, everything's endangered, so nothing can be culled, nothing can be fished for. And it's like, yes, I'd love to, like, my heart would love to do that, but my brain is like, no, there's a balance. So when it comes to like bull sharks out here, they're endangered in certain parts of the planet, but like out here, their populations are being assessed, so they're not protected quite like other places around the planet. And I'm like, you have to respect the endangered list though, because if you don't, then it loses its credibility. To be able to deem something threatened, not endangered, extinct, you have to, accept that eventually, with good enough protection, those animals are not going to be considered endangered anymore. And eventually they might come back onto the fishing list. I mean, look at Goliath groupers. It's the same thing. They're currently being assessed right now to see if their populations are high enough where people could start fishing for them, because they are a apex predator themselves, and they will eat everything they can get their mouth over, which
is quite a lot.
It's a lot of things. Side note, like, people ask us like, oh my God, you must, like, because me and my coworkers, like, I mean, we're in the thick of it when we're doing the shark dives. I mean, we're at the crate, we got the sharks around us, and they're like, what, like, the sharks obviously have to be the scariest things that you guys are dealing with. And like, first of all, no, it's the divers that I'm in charge of. And B, it's Goliath groupers. Because they're an 800-pound fish whose face is like, I couldn't even put my arms around their face. And those are the animals that usually come up and try to get us. Well, us as shark divers or shark handlers.
They'll come up and try to swallow you.
Oh yeah, and there's videos on YouTube of shark handlers being sucked into Goliath groupers like half their body.
Oh,
Holy
wow.
They get
moly.
spit out.
Oh my goodness.
That doesn't sound like a pleasant experience.
No, and they actually have like their teeth are like razor sharp sandpaper, so it's not, and like they jaw pop, so they'll break things. They don't just scrape you up, like they'll break your arm.
Good times.
There's a Goliath grouper that hangs off of one of our local wrecks that we like to dive, and he's got a giant. Well, she has a giant hook in her mouth, and it's been there forever. There's like algae growing off of it, and always one of our divers is like, "Why don't you try to get the hook out?" I'm like, "You go ahead, and get your arm broke."
Yes.
I'll tell your
fine.
story. I'll tell your story.
It's been there for a decade. Like, maybe she likes it. I don't know. Like,
Goodness gracious.
Probably.
yeah,
It's a lure. Yeah, it's a lure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's just like, come get this out of my mouth.
Yeah, please, by all means, work this out. All right, so
Yeah.
we do this podcast here at a high school. Let's say we have some students here that maybe want to follow in your footsteps and do what you do one day. What would be your recommendations or suggestions to them?
So, if you want to be in the marine biology field, working with marine life, whether it be on like the rescue side, field work, I always recommend getting scuba certified. It's the ocean. Like, if you want to work in the ocean, it's one of those things that a lot of fields want you to be scuba certified if you want to be a marine biologist. So you can get scuba certified, before you're 18. And it's just one of those, you're also just going to enjoy it. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
That's why I teach it. That's why I teach it as well, because I just love bringing people into the ocean and experiencing breathing underwater for the first time.
No joke.
Yeah.
So scuba certified, get experience immediately. Like if you can find a position volunteering in an aquarium and just learning about the animals before you graduate, absolutely do it. So with my path, because I'm in it's husbandry, so I'm taking care of animals. Working in an aquarium is honestly like one of your first goals is as a professional job. So go be an aquarist somewhere. Go take care of, fish, sharks, dolphins, whatever floats your boat. But you're going to learn about life support systems. So how to keep all of your water chemistries correct, and work on filtration and things like that. That is a huge selling point to places like other aquariums, first of all, but even rescues. So it's like, not only am I a veterinary nurse, but I can go work on a pump. Just keep on adding to your resume. Volunteer and do internship. When I first started out 15 years ago, internships weren't that big. Especially like where I was working SeaWorld, we didn't even take interns. But there's lots of little non-for-profits that take interns, and I highly recommend doing it if you can. If you can financially swing it. I know that a lot of places they do not pay you. So, but a lot of internships will work with you. And if you need to get like a part-time job to stay at that position, a lot of places are pretty friendly about that. But for veterinary medicine, you could either be a veterinary technician like me, so I'm like the animal version of a nurse, or you can go all the way and be a veterinarian, which is a doctor. It is a doctor of veterinary medicine. It's, 8 to 10 years of work, of schooling, plus internships, externships, all that. I admittedly am not a good student, so like being a doctor was just not in my cards. Like, but not that being a veterinary nurse is easy schooling. It's just shorter. And I, especially getting into the field of marine biology, you or just marine rescue, whatever marine husbandry. You're not learning that stuff in school, like for at least the husbandry side. Like they, especially for veterinary nursing and veterinary medicine, they don't teach you immediately how to work on fish or sharks. You have to do a lot of that on your own. So I did things backwards with getting my experience with sea turtles before I went to school. And that a lot of it is on the job learning. So you have to be willing to put in the effort to get that extra experience. Because a lot of these places, they don't just want to see that you have the paper or you passed your boards. They want to see that you also got experience in that field.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, so it is definitely a unique field, and like I feel bad because a lot of our interns, they come to us and they're like, okay, I got my bachelor's, I want to do what you're doing at the rescue, and I'm like, okay, go back to school. I'm sorry. But I mean, like having the bachelor's on top of being a CVT, it looks great. It'll like all of that looks great. But if you just want to get into veterinary nursing, that's something that you can do right out of high school. You might have to do a couple extra classes, like math and English, like a couple extra math and English classes, biology, before you start, depending on what you do in high school. But yeah, it's definitely a very niche career path, and I love talking about it just to help people make their way to it.
No doubt about it. Yeah, but when you can help guide somebody that direction like that, it's always very rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, last question. If people want to donate to the Brevard Zoo's Sea Turtle Healing Center, where can they go? And if somebody wants to go on a shark diving trip, tell us about where to go find that out too.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to donate to the sea turtles, or if you're over 18 and you want to volunteer, you can just go to our zoo, brevardzoo.org. And we have tabs that say donate or like help. And if you scroll down, you'll find where you can donate money or become a volunteer. You can also follow us on our Facebook and Instagram. We'll announce sea turtle releases on there as well.
Which are jam flipping up. They look amazing. I haven't been able to make one yet, but they look incredible.
It's pretty fun. I mean, when we released Bubba, our 400-pound loggerhead, I was joking, there was one person per pound of that turtle, so there was 400 people.
Oh wow!
It was epic. The videos were amazing.
Yeah, it's very heartwarming to see everybody come together for that. But anyways, we do announce releases on our social media. If you want to do shark diving, the boat that I work off of right now is called Gung Ho Divers. And we don't just do shark diving, we also do shark snorkeling. So if you're not certified, we can do shark snorkels. So we're not getting in scuba gear, you're just sitting at the surface. And still being able to admire the sharks. We'll bring the sharks to the surface so you guys can still get up close to them. And we also do reef dives. Like right now it's Goliath grouper aggregation. So we're doing a lot of Goliath grouper dives as well. So we're just going to go see these 800-pound beasts and admire them from afar.
And not grab the hook, right? And not grab the hook.
Yes, do not grab them.
Don't grab the hook.
So yeah, we do a lot of things on board, but we primarily, our focus is the shark diving. And we do offer classes as well. Like I teach a shark conservation course through the boat as well. So it's a 2-day program where you get to learn about sharks and then go diving with them the next day.
Jam up. We will make sure that we tag all those things in the description of this when we post it. And
Yeah.
we really thank you so much, Jess, for being on here and chatting with us, telling us all a little bit about the incredible life you live and the great things you do for our environment and our wildlife. We really appreciate you.
Oh no, thank you for having me. I love the opportunity to be able to talk about it. It means a lot to me.
Yep, looking forward to the opportunity to get on and harass you guys again soon. But
yeah, we're looking forward to it.
man, it'll be about 5 minutes until the New Year's here anyhow. So, but I'll be down there before that and harass you guys a little bit. But thank you guys so much for everything you do, Jess. Really appreciate you all.
No, absolutely. And then the support of you guys, and then talking about it and putting highlights on what we do, it helps a lot. So we appreciate you guys as well.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, another episode in the book.
Yes, sir.
I always say book, but
In the
again,
book, yes.
it is what it is.
Might as well be in the book.
Very interesting lady. Talking about somebody who does a lot of stuff.
Wow.
You know, I always think I'm very busy, Bill.
Yes.
And then you hear somebody like that tell
then
their
you see
story and
that,
what they're doing, and you're like,
like,
maybe I'm not as busy as I think I am.
Yeah, maybe I got a lot of free time.
I could be busier, couldn't I?
I guess, yeah.
Spend the days working in rehabbing animals and putting animals back together, and spend the evenings and the weekends diving for sharks.
Right. And she's on call.
Yeah.
Gee whiz.
Goodness gracious.
Wow.
Yeah. Busy's. I don't even think busy covers it.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think it's enough.
I don't think so. It's amazing.
What are you doing this week? Anything exciting?
No. Oh, wow. I'm looking forward to the opening of college football.
That starts this weekend.
Well, they had a game last week, a couple of games, like it was considered week 0. This is week 1.
Oh, it's because NFL starts next week.
Right.
Which will be the week this comes out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the Buccaneers play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. See if Baker Mayfield holds it together or not.
We'll see that. Yep.
I think there's a pretty good team this year. I think the Buccaneers have a very good team this year.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah,
I don't follow the NFL hardly at all.
I'm sorry, Bill.
I know. I should.
I know my buddy Matt Yount, who we've had on here.
Right.
He likes to follow the UCF players where they go and watch their career follow, kind of come out. But I know the Knights have a very talented quarterback and 2 very talented running backs this year. So it's going to be their running game should be next level.
Well, they played last night, and I was there.
Yeah. Did the running game look pretty solid?
The running game looked very solid. Passing game is a little iffy.
I said that running back, he might be. I forget the guy's name.
R.J. Harvey.
Yeah, Harvey. There you go. He's one of the top in the country, is he not?
He is. Yeah. And the 2 other guys in the backfield with him, and I can't remember their names right now, but they were amazing. They were good too. We have a very, very solid running back room.
And Harvey's a junior.
No, I don't think so. I think he's a senior.
Is he a senior?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know they have him and then a couple other talented guys behind him that are also very good.
Yeah. It should be a good year for the Knights. I say that all the time. And
they have a talented team.
They do.
But they consistently have talented teams. This is,
right.
I think this year on paper should be better for them.
Well, see, this is the first year they're all Gus Malzahn's guys.
Okay, they're all guys he recruited.
They're all him.
Everybody else is out.
Yep, everybody else is out. And so
there's no more excuses. It needs to start showing up.
I mean, Gus never won him for excuses. I mean,
yeah, I'm saying it. If it's all his guys, these are all guys he's hand recruited. It should be interesting.
It should be. It should be. I'm very excited about it. I'm looking forward to good things.
So I know most new programs, when you're bringing in new people and you're putting in your own schemes, offense and defense, you normally expect 5 or 6 years until you get to where it's like, okay,
and
everybody's getting it. Yes, everybody's getting it.
Things
are built in now.
Yep.
There's no questions about where you're going or coming from. It's just all there and going.
And you get buy-in. Everybody buys in, and then
just jam up.
Indeed.
All right, let's end this one. What do you say?
Okay. Well, here you go. Talk to your camera and
I will
tell them the things you want to tell them.
Howdy, y'all. Thank you for tuning into the EEARSS podcast. If you're looking to sponsor our program, we would very much enjoy that. We can give you an approximate 35 to 5,500 views and or listens a week, and we'd love to have us have you. And thank you all for tuning into the EEARSS podcast. You can find us on all platforms by searching EEARSS or EEARSS.
We'll catch you all next week. Bye-bye.